Hi, Junior with today's thought, and today we're going to be covering a subject that keeps coming up, the subject that will not die, apparently, in liberal cities and liberal states. And this is the idea of paying reparations for slavery. Never mind that the last slave died a long time ago, and the last slave owner died a long time ago, and never mind that slavery has existed all over the world since time immemorial. I mean, going back to the beginnings of civilization, and it still exists today. And guess where? Africa. And such as Sudan, Mauritania, and in the Middle East. Remember the ISIS, when ISIS was controlling a large part of Syria. They enslaved the Yazidis, the Christian people, especially Christian women, essentially sex slaves. It was Western civilization that was the first civilization to abolish slavery. Yet we're all supposed to feel guilty. You've heard of the phrase, I'm sure, of white supremacism and whiteness, all this woke terminology, but predating those phrases by literally decades, this idea of white guilt, that we're all supposed to feel. I'm supposed to feel guilty about slavery, never mind that I have no ancestry in America from the time of slavery. My father, in fact, came from Europe. He was a refugee and Hungarian, and my mother's parents came from Russia. So I'm a first generation on my father's side, second generation on my mother's side, and yet we're supposed to feel guilty. And you want even more ridiculous, these reparations are supposed to be paid by the taxpayers. Well, a lot of these taxpayers are black. So that's, I don't know how you can make a black person guilty of slavery. What are we going to do? Get the race of every taxpayer? And they get a tax deduction or something. Never mind. Oh, and to make it even more ridiculous, this commission that the governor of New York has signed. Did I mention that? I think I did. That's the reason I'm doing this vlog today, is that the governor of New York has signed a bill to create a commission to explore reparations. But get this, reparations only for black descendants of black slaves who were slaves in New York. Now, New York abolished, like all the northern states, abolished slavery long before the Civil War. And the idea, you're talking about something, if you're talking about a descendant of a New York slave, you have to talk, you're talking about a black family that goes all the way, a black person whose ancestry goes all the way back to the Civil War. Your family has to, in other words, if you're black and your parents or your grandparents migrated from the South, you're not liable for to pay these reparations. So you have to take a little tweezers and tweeze out the people who are actually descendants of slaves who were slaves in New York. And it goes on from there. It is just really crazy. But the biggest, on the other hand, what I could see is, and this is what I'm going to get to today, you already know from the title, is that well, we had this Civil War, and the Republican Party was formed. Abraham Lincoln, we all know, first Republican president, and it was formed over the issue of slavery, of opposition to slavery. The predecessor of the Republican Party was the Whig Party, and the Republican Party was formed because the Whig Party was not sufficient abolitionist, and we had a Civil War, and hundreds of thousands of Republicans had to kill it's actually about, even on both sides, about 300,000 Union soldiers, Republicans died had to kill nine. Well, they died, but what I'm getting, a little getting over by way of China here. Republicans had to kill about 300,000 Democrats to end slavery. There was the Democrats. And not only that, I'm linking to an article. Let me put it up right here so you can look at it. The hypocritical and shameful history of the Democratic Party before the Civil War. That's the article. Now here's the quote. By the 1850s, Democrats no longer bothered to hide their anti-democratic values, especially Northern Democrats who were well aware that their actions violated the will of their constituents. Their votes on pro-slavery legislation were clear enough, but in the halls of Congress, in partisan presses, and in personal correspondence, they bragged about their disregard for the populace. So we get to my question. Why, if you're going to be fair about this, then Republicans should, and if you're a Democrat and you don't want to pay these slavery reparations in New York, if that becomes, that gets enacted into law, my suggestion is switch to the Republican Party, leave the Democratic Party. And then if you're going to be fair, because why should the party, as I say in the title, why should the party that ended slavery pay reparations on behalf of the party that did everything it could to perpetuate slavery, to perpetrate it, to practice it, to perpetuate it, and when slavery was abolished, enact the Jim Crow laws, the infamous Jim Crow laws of the South. The Ku Klux Klan, that was born in the South. I could go on and on. So, you Democrats in New York, and I'm lucky in a way. I've mentioned this in the past. I lived in New York for 40 years. I moved in 2019, early 2019. Had I not, and this stupid law gets passed, then my tax dollars would be going to pay reparations for slavery, even though, as I said, all the slaves are dead, all the slave owners are dead, and my family has absolutely zilch ancestry in this country, except for my father, who came here in 1948, I believe, and my mother's parents, who came at the turn of the century, long after slavery was abolished. I think 1919 they came. So that's it. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.